He's a Grammy and Emmy and Oscar winner, best-selling author, and Chicago native. And he just released his new memoir, Let Love Have the Last Word. He reflects on his personal journey, sharing him and shaping him into the father, son, and man he is today. Please welcome back activist, rapper, actor, and Chicagoan, Common.
There he is. Oh, it's good to see you, brother. Good to see you.
Good to see you.
There you go.
Good, how are you? Windy City Live.
Yeah, we got our spring colors on, man. We're ready. We're ready.
We're feeling bright. We're ready for that, right?
Brian, you need this sweater.
All right, here we go. Let's switch.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you know,
I've been in this like color palette a little bit because the cover of my book, it so happened that I had this kind of like
salmon,
pastel.
maybe,
It was a salmon, and something about it was really warm and inviting and made me feel bright. So, like as I've been promoting the Let Love Have the Last Word, I've been in that mode, in that spirit.
Yeah, and this is a really powerful book. It puts you in a really vulnerable place. Tell people what it's about that don't know.
Yeah, well, the book essentially is about operating in love in times where, you know, we're dealing with a lot of, you know, divisiveness, a lot of heavy things going on in the world. I was just looking for a solution that can bring joy and bring happiness to us as people. Right. And I always looked at love as that solution, and not the floaty love, but like really talking about practicing love, like making it an action word. And it started with me and my love for God and love for self, and working on those things and actually like putting that into practice and seeing in places where I failed in love, you know, like where I didn't do well, you know, and dealing with those wounds. Like in the book, I talk about the relationship with me and my daughter, where she looked and said, man, I didn't think you were a good father in these areas. And right. It broke me down a little bit, but it was necessary. And then, you know, I talk about therapy because I feel like that's something we don't talk about in our communities as black people, especially black and brown people really don't talk about it as men. I wanted to go to those vulnerable places because that's the only way that we can really heal and like make our communities better and make ourselves better, is to be open and to be vulnerable and put things out on the table.
And you did just that. And speaking of open, vulnerable, you talk about for the first time child abuse in your childhood, sexual abuse, excuse me, in your childhood. And you did this for the first time ever in this book. And part of this, you know, revelation happened when you were here last promoting the tale. It made you think about something that happened to you. Why did you decide to reveal it now in this book?
Yeah, well, I talked about being molested, and let me be clear, you know, this was my experience that, you know, a lot of people experienced this, so I have compassion about how they had to deal with it. But for me, I had tucked this memory away and actually didn't even really believe it existed until I was doing The Tale, the movie, which was dealing with child sexual abuse. And I was in a rehearsal and I was talking to the actress Laura Dern, and she, and I said, you know, this happened to me.
Wow.
And
was that the first time you ever uttered that aloud? That
was the first time I ever uttered it aloud. And I felt like because we were talking about, we were such in an open space, and sometimes art is like that. Art can allow you to express so many things you don't talk about. And I have to be give honor and respect to Laura, because she really was like respectful about the space and just asked me, do I want to talk more about it? And I kind of had to just take it home with me and deal with it and figure out, like, because it really literally was something I never...
Not even to your mom? Because you're real tight with your mom.
No, I never told anybody this. I'm telling you, I really didn't believe it existed. I didn't even think about it. It was like, from that night on, it was just like, this doesn't exist.
Was this a one-time thing, and how old were you?
It was a one-time thing, and I was 9, between the ages of 9 and 10. And, you know, I think I talked about it at this moment because I feel like me opening up about things like this can inspire or show other people that they can open up. And it's okay, because, you know, as a man, it's like, you're not supposed to talk about these things. We taught to be like, it's tough, and like, and a lot of people have experienced it, but they're afraid to talk about it. I'm talking about it because I want to stop the cycle, you know, and
help heal others.
Help heal others. And,
Well, it was probably healing for you too.
oh, it's very healing for me because, you know, initially when you first write it in a book and then some of your first interviews, you start talking about it, you're like, wow, I'm really having to talk. And, you know, and people confront you with it in different ways.
Right.
And it's not always a challenge, but they bring up questions like, yo, you talked about, and this was a male, so that brings up another dimension.
Right.
You know, that, and I'm very clear that I'm not homophobic at all. You know, people should choose to do what they choose to do, but I was letting them know as a child, when someone does that to you, that doesn't affect your choice on what your sexual, you know, preference is. That's a child being affected.
I know that this was a family friend. Have you addressed this with this person?
No, I haven't, but I have worked on the forgiveness in many ways, like where I don't feel any negative energy towards that person. And if I saw him or you know, I can have a conversation because in stopping the cycle, I have to have some forgiveness. You know, I have to be like, or if I just keep the hate flowing or the pain flowing, it's just, I'm just gonna push it on to somebody else, they're gonna push it on to somebody else. And that's where a lot of our problems have existed in our city, in our country. It's like we passing on the pain. And that's why I try to come from a place of understanding. Like, look, like let me, and it's not always easy. I'm not like saying as soon as things happen to me, I'm just like, oh, I forgive. But that's what I'm talking about when I say practicing love. It's like, what tools do you have to work to be a better person so that I can forgive?
And you have so many wonderful people around you. I hear Michelle Obama is your relationship coach.
Well, I mean, she's definitely someone who's giving me relationship advice. She has been like a coach in certain ways. I don't need it every week, but... well,
I don't know, because you talk in the book about love addiction. And I thought this was interesting because I'm like, Common and Ryan have something in common. You like that?
Yes,
I feel a beat coming. I feel,
you clever.
They got it in common. Okay, I'm not, no. But let's talk about this.
Yeah.
Because your dating world is like, your dating life is out in the public, and we know, you know, you've had relationships and they're out. But why do you feel like you couldn't commit?
I think some of it was just me being afraid of commitment. Some of it is what I have found out is intimacy avoidance, and that's something that when you really like love and you really like being around it, but once the true work comes into play, you kind of like, oh, I don't know if I want that, right?
Hold on, let me take some notes.
Say that again, Common. Keep going.
Once the real work comes into play, like you run away from it sometimes. So I found that being a pattern in myself that I didn't want to keep repeating, and I, you know, start out. I got help. One thing we don't talk about is like, man, therapy is helpful. It's like people sometimes be like, yo, just go to God. God works through therapists. God works through counselors.
Thank you so much.
So like, and you can feel that as a person. And one thing I want to say, you know, because I've been talking about therapy a lot, is, yo, I get my hair cut like twice a week, this baldy, right? we can get our hair done once a week, twice a week, however many times a week. We gotta take care of ourselves that much. And if you go to a certain therapist and that might not be the right one, don't think just because you went to somebody and it didn't work, that's not it. Because you do that for your hairdresser, you'll be like, yo, this person ain't did my hair right, I'm going to the next person. And until you find that right one.
Good point.
And I just think it's something, especially in our city, with a lot of the things that young people are dealing with and just we deal with, like, it's not natural for people to have cousins and friends and family members shot to death when you a teenager growing up. That's not natural life. So who do they have to go to? Or even just the bullying aspects.
Let Love Have the Last Word, the New York Times best-selling book. So now you're a best-selling author. Let's see, you have a Grammy, you have an Emmy, you have an Oscar. All you need is the Tony or the EGOT. How are we gonna do that, Common?
Well, thank you. I really do want to do theater. I love theater. Since a kid, I love theater. And I go see plays all the time, off Broadway and on Broadway. And I need to check out more stuff here when I come home.
Right, it's a lot here,
There's
too.
some great theater here, like, right? Steppenwolf. But anyway, I would love to participate in that, and God willing, when I do great work, the awards and accolades will come. But I just want to first start with doing the great work.
Well, it's certainly coming. Yeah, and the Shy, congratulations, picked up for season 3.
Season 3, man.
Yeah, because you guys just got congratulations on a new season coming up too, right?
Yes.
So I mean, I love, this show has meant a lot to me because it's given so many people from Chicago a chance to work in different facets, from everything from costume to locations to makeup to, you know, to the actors and people behind the camera that work the cameras and lights. It's like I come home and feel proud when I see us on the set of The Shy. You know.
You know who we have not had on this show, and we've been here 18, is Lena Waithe.
Oh, you gotta have Lena. I mean, that's another thing, to be able to co-produce a television show with somebody from Chicago, somebody as innovative and talented as she is. She's a revolutionary, really.
Yeah, maybe you know her, or maybe you can help out a little.
I'll make sure you
find booking for Windy City Live in your calendar.
Exactly.
Yes. And
Counseling, booking.
Yeah, here's the other thing I love. Okay, for one, the cast of The Shy, I know, is getting really involved in the community here in Chicago, giving back and doing great things for our city. But you've been doing that for a long time, and now you're teaming up with Pastor Hannah for this creative arts school. Tell us about this.
Yeah, so the school is Arts in Motion, and we actually will be registering kids today and tomorrow. It's really a school that is there to build our children holistically. Everything from academics to learning emotional and social intelligence, you know, arts, of course, like bringing the arts, nutrition. We want to bring like different aspects of healing, that like everything from yoga to mindfulness, we will be implementing into our school. We want to bring to the kids of Chicago the things that I get to see as a person, things that I get to experience. We want them to get that and more. And I'm looking to bring like directors of photography, different choreographers to come teach classes at different points, you know, like, and not just, I'm talking about, I'm gonna be trying to get like the Steven Spielbergs on the phone and say, like, and the Barry Jenkins of the world and Ruth Carter's who just got an Oscar for costume design to come teach our children, so they all will be like, okay, I actually want to be a costume designer. I don't have to be an actor. I might want, or you know, I want to be a camera person. You know?
Well, I know you want to add Tony to your resume, but maybe you'll be a teacher. Maybe you will actually go there and teach the kids. You know how dope that would be?
Oh no, I for surely, and I mean, I can't ask other people to come.
That's right.
And I don't teach, you know, so.
Okay, so what would you teach? Rap?
I think I would definitely teach writing. And acting.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, hey, on other shows, we've seen you freestyle a little bit. Can you throw us a little something?
All right, give me a word and I'll start with the words.
How about Chicago?
Oh, okay.
Okay, whatever.
Chicago.
Pick one.
Okay, anywhere it go, this is how it was. He said Chicago and she said love. I put it all together, brainstorm like the weather, come down like the rain, but this is off the brain. Told you what I do, yo, I'm from the South Side. I came to rock it for my people on Windy City Live, and that's how it is. That's how it is. I always get biz. I always show a style when it's Ryan and Val. You know how it is, how you like me now. I'm that boy that used to chill on Stony Isle. That's Stony Island that know from the go. You know how I flow. I just had to grow a little bit. This is how I do. I consider it. Came to Chicago. I always been living it. Always been ill. And then I got dapper. I took a chance, sort of like Chance the Rapper. Tell you what about
You come back and see us anytime, man.
I'm about to start freestyling. You just inspired me. I'm about to go home and work on. I'm about to get a beat.